time is now 6:16. Talk about an out-of-this-world meal. Astronauts at the International Space Station recently enjoyed a taco dinner made with chili peppers grown aboard the International Space Station. The peppers were planted as part of a plant investigation back in July, and last week they were ready for the harvesting and sampling. Humans have been living and working at the space station for 2 decades, and the bulk of their meals are pre-packaged, but this experiment may clear a path for cultivation of more fresh food items in the future. NASA says it was one of the longest and most challenging plant experiments ever attempted on board the orbiting laboratory. And from the looks of it, it seems like it was one of the tastiest as well.
Ooh, look at that! Look at that! I think that's a taco right there.
That is. They had tacos.
Look at that!
That's incredible, because considering that water floats, like everything floats, I wonder how they got the water to take to the plant.
I mean, when we're watching the video right there, it's hard to tell. They probably have some special thing that keeps the water trapped, and of course,
some sort of germination type of.
Yeah, germination. Obviously, some special light for it there too, because unlike Earth, where we're just right with regards to the sunlight and everything else, it gets pretty interesting though. And just look at all of that too. It's really interesting to just see this, being able to pull this off in outer space. Because I know once you get outside of Earth, of course, the sun can probably just, I guess, vaporize things. So it gets really interesting to see that we're able to do more things, and it would be cool to see maybe building gardens now in space.
Yeah, it's just cool because everything floats. So the fact that they were able to get the water to go into the plant and for the plant to grow upright, because like I wonder which way the plant would try to start growing if it wasn't
probably toward the light. Because if you notice any flowers though, where they growing toward the sunlight. I know I got flowers inside my apartment now because they'd be dead if they were outside at this point. And I have to rotate them sometimes because where do they angle? Toward the light.
Exactly.
So that's fine. Where they're growing toward is toward the light that's being used to help them grow. So
yeah.
So we'll have to see where this all goes, and it looks like it's going in the right direction with a challenging but successful experiment there. But one other thing that's also interesting, on the streets of New York City, you can expect to see anything, including a camel, a donkey, and some sheep. That sounds interesting. Cardinal Timothy Dolan, along with the Radio City Music Rockettes, accompanied the animals to their first rehearsal the other day. The camel, donkey, and sheep will participate in the Christmas Spectacular's Living Nativity. And before rehearsal, Cardinal Dolan blessed the animals in the foyer of the famed Radio City Music Hall. And the Living Nativity has been part of the production since its inception in 1933. The Christmas Spectacular, starring the Radio City Rockettes, will run from November 5th through January 2nd. November 5th, that's in a couple of days. Here we go. I don't know if I'm ready to think about Christmas yet, but I'm sure the Radio City Rockettes are excited to get back at it, because last year they couldn't perform in Radio City Music Hall because of the pandemic. They could perform at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, which they had to modify that last year too.
Have you seen them perform? Because I have in Boston.
I wish. I've just seen them perform on TV, which that alone is impressive too. Now I see some of the behind the scenes videos, and it's just amazing. I mean, the exactness and just being able to be that flawless, I'm like, that takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
And of course, you got to be in shape too with a lot of muscle. I'm sure there's a lot of conditioning that goes into that.
Yeah, they do 2 shows a day when they're actually doing it. So throughout the whole month, I think of November and December.
2 shows a day. That is amazing.
It's very intense. So they are athletes. So I highly recommend, if you've never seen the Rockettes, watch them on the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, or definitely go to New York if you can and see them there or wherever they are showing.
And I have seen them on TV, so I'll second that, because they are just impressive and always fun to watch during this time of the year. And it should be a very special time with things starting to ease up a little bit too with regards to some of the restrictions and everything else.
But something a little funny is an emu was on the loose and caused quite a stir in Greenville County, South Carolina Tuesday morning. The reporter from NBC affiliate WYFF was on his way to work when he spotted the emu near a church and took video of the bird just trotting through a parking lot. There were people out looking for the emu a short time later, but with no luck. And there's no word on whether the emu might have come from. See, I tried to look up what an emu was because I thought it was an ostrich, but they look very similar, but they're very different. One is big and fluffy, and one, as we can see from that footage, is just a lot more lightweight feathers.
Isn't there a commercial by Liberty Mutual that uses an emu or something like that?
I
think there is. And I mean, so that's why the only other time I've heard of this animal is on those commercials. So it's kind of interesting, and you know, all the questions have to be asked. Where did it come from? Why is it here? And yeah.
Exactly. It's funny to see exotic pets roaming around. It makes me think of Tiger King, which is coming out pretty soon, the second season. So.
Oh yeah, and you know what? I have not seen any Tiger King episodes, so I cannot give any opinion in either way there because that would not be very fair. So.
It's just a guy that owns a bunch of tigers.
Oh dear.
And then another one that owns a bunch of tigers. So it's just like owning exotic animals is a very interesting concept because, you know, you can't treat them like regular animals because they're exotic.
That one sounds, is it like one of those Discovery Channel features? I mean, obviously not on Discovery.
No,
but
it's on Netflix.
On Netflix? So
Yeah.
is it kind of made kind of like a Discovery thing, or is it kind of...
It's like a documentary.
Oh, it's like a documentary.
Yeah.
So, okay, that sounds pretty interesting.
You might
So,
like it.
I don't know.
A lot of people love it.
We'll have to see. I use that Netflix account I don't get to use very much, so we'll have to see what happens there.